Avatar The Last Airbender have the most incredible characters like Katara, Aang, Toph, and one of the best redemption arcs in television with Zuko. And without that amazing characters, some get overlooked by the audience just because they don't have incredible powers or are seen as mere comic reliefs. And that's the case of Sokka. But today, this ends. Sokka is my favorite character and I just couldn't stand him being left out of everything. In this video, we'll talk about his story, development, and importance to the Avatar world. The first thing we'll talk about is his general role in the Avatar universe. As you may have heard, characters usually fit into something called the 12 Junjin archetypes, a way of separating characters in categories that are based on basic human motivations, making them something people can identify themselves with and enjoy the characters more. The 12 archetypes are ruler, creator, sage, innocent, explorer, rebel, hero, wizard, jester, everyman, lover, and caregiver. Sokka could fit into two archetypes, even though people usually ignore one of them, reducing Sokka to only a comic relief, or as called in the 12 archetypes, the jester. The jester is a character that provides a comic relief with jokes, lines, and action that usually bring fun and enjoyment to the audience, preventing the show from being boring or too serious. The second archetype is the everyman, or the regular guy, a character that often tries to belong in a group even if he's different or not strong enough, since he doesn't have special powers like the rest. These two archetypes structure his base characters with main struggles, personalities, and problems to deal with throughout the series. First, we'll talk about the jester type. You may have watched countless other shows where the comic reliefs don't have a story or other personality traits besides being the clown, incompetent guy of the group who always ruins things because, oh wow, he's so silly. In the end, these characters get boring, annoying, and don't serve the purpose they were created for, being funny. Comedy, by many people, is considered one of the most hard genres to replicate because it requires being truthful, natural, and spontaneous. You cannot fake being funny, it just doesn't work. Comedy requires interacting with the audience, making them laugh when they're not expecting it. But it also requires having sense of timing, knowing when to make the jokes change how people perceive it. For example, if you start acting stupid in the middle of a serious scene, it will stop being funny to being inconvenient or annoying. Sokka is the perfect example of a comic relief done right. He has a personality besides the jokes, a backstory full of struggles, things to improve and learn, and most importantly, he's actually fun. The jokes and things that happen to him naturally become a part of who he is and not someone he's trying to be. This way, Sokka stops being a character whose only purpose is to make you laugh. He has other interesting aspects in his life. He's strategic, smart, strong, and a relatable character that knows when to be serious and when he can be just a dumb guy. Now, let's dive deeper in the second archetype. As we all know, Sokka doesn't ban any element, but that never stopped him from doing all he can to protect his people, even when he's scared. His courage was always something to envy, but also something he used to hide his own insecurities. And that leads us to talking about his first development as a character, overcoming his sexism, and understanding the meaning of masculinity, what really makes a man, something that bothers him all the way through his journey. To first understand better the reasons behind it, we need to know his backstory and the Southern Water Tribe way of living as a whole. As we all know, the Water Tribes themselves are sexist, and we see this throughout the series in, for example, the gender roles where women were not allowed to use waterbender to fight, only to heal, or by the arranged marriage where women could not decide who they really wanted to marry, like Kyue and Kana, Sokka's and Katara's grandmother, being that the reason why she ran away to the South Pole. All this shows us how the Water Tribe treated people differently by their gender. And you might be thinking, oh, this is on the Northern Water Tribe, not the Southern where Sokka lived. And you're partially correct. The Northern Water Tribe, as we see, is always more strict than the Southern, and that's because the Northern Water Tribe was always one big tribe together, different from the Southern, which is made up of many little villages that don't communicate a lot, making it difficult to have strict rules for everyone. But even with that, the culture was still present. For example, only men could live to fight in wars, and are always represented as the protectors and warriors of the village, while women take care of kids, clean, cook, and other things often seen as a woman's job. Sokka was born 84 years after the Air Nomad genocide in the South Pole, in a village constantly raided and destroyed by Fire Nation soldiers. When he was 10 years old, soldiers invaded the village to find the last waterbender of the South Pole, his sister Katara. To protect her, their mother pretended to be the waterbender and was brutally killed by the firebenders. This was the first trigger to his masculinity that developed into sexism. He believed that he failed to protect his mother, a woman who, according to his perception about the culture of his village, needed to be protected. 3 years later, his father Rakoda, with all men, left the village to help fight in the war, leaving Sokka that was not old enough, saying that his sister and the others in the village would need him to protect them.
Brave? I can fight! Please, Dad!
Being a man is knowing where you're needed the most. And for you right now, that's here protecting your sister.
I don't understand.
Someday you will. I'm gonna miss you so much.
As a 13-year-old boy and only male figure in the village, Sokka didn't have any guidance. His mom passed away and his dad left with all the other men. Since he often saw these gender roles being common in his culture, Sokka believed that women were not capable of protecting themselves, and saw himself as the protector that the men in the village were, always trying to prove his masculinity. Sokka felt that it was his responsibility to take care of everyone, having to grow up and mature fast. Now that we know the culture Sokka was born in and what happened in his life, we are already able to understand where the sexism came from, and that it was not something random, it was something that really made sense for the character, creating then his first conflict or problem, something to overcome and develop in the series. In the first episode, we are already presented with many sexist jokes and lines said by Sokka, being this the cause of Katara's frustration and further on the revelation of the iceberg that Aang was inside. In the following episodes, we get a sexist joke here and there until episode 4, when Sokka gets his butt kicked by a bunch of girls. The Warriors of Kyoshi is when Sokka's masculinity is threatened for the second time, but also when he understands that girls can fight for themselves, and even be better than him at it. Sokka starts the episodes being trapped by the Kyoshi warriors, and that made him visibly mad, not believing that girls were the ones that did it. He makes several excuses to avoid believing that they are stronger than him. He most likely knows that he is not stronger than them, but his masculinity is at stake. So to try to prove that, he interrupts their training trying to show off and get his butt kicked a second time.
Anything else you want to teach us?
It takes some time for him to understand that they come from different cultures, and where he's from, men are supposedly stronger, but that does not apply to the rest of the world, and since he never saw the world outside his village, this seems wrong to him. But after all the humiliation, Sokka understands that, and as a way to apologize and also learn to become better, he asks to be trained by Suki, the leader of the warriors.
There's no time to say goodbye.
What about I'm sorry?
For what?
I treated you like a girl when I should have treated you like a warrior.
I am a warrior. But I'm a girl, too.
This phrase made Sokka finally realize she's not just a girl or just a warrior, she can be both at the same time. And this made him understand that something that was once natural to him is actually a misconception of the reality, realizing he was wrong. Making this the end of his sexism, but not the end of his insecurity with his own masculinity.
Sokka, nice dress.
The third trigger to it is Yue's death. He believed again that he failed to protect the woman that he loved. We all see this insecurity in the episode The Serpent's Path, for example. He knows Suki is more than capable of protecting himself, but his fear of losing someone again makes him overprotective towards every woman in his life. But with time, seeing all these powerful girls make him finally understand that he does not have to be the protector always. As his father once said, being a man is knowing where you're needed the most, and now he finally understands the true meaning of this phrase. Moving to the end of the series, in the last episode, Sokka had an only girls team by his side, Toph and Suki, to fight the Firebenders, showing how much he grew and developed from the guy he was in the beginning, a guy that didn't think women could fight for themselves, to be fighting side by side with them and acknowledging their power. This arc, despite looking small, was crucial to the understanding of his origins and backstory, as well as a clear form of development he went through.
It's just, all you guys can do this awesome bending stuff, like putting out forest fires and flying around and making other stuff fly around. I can't fly around, okay? I can't do anything. The fact is, each of you is so amazing and so special, and I'm not. I'm just the guy in the group who's regular.
Sokka never felt strong enough, always comparing himself to the strong benders around him. He could not see his own potential after all his failures, failing to protect loved ones, failing to protect his invasion plan, the failure of the invasion plan. All these things affected his honor and perception of his own worthiness. He thought he needed to redeem himself over every little mistake made, always putting the blame on his shoulders, like feeling the need to save his father from prison alone, as if it was only his mistake. What Sokka didn't realize is that he was unique and powerful with his own abilities. He was creative and versatile, always thinking outside the box. That's where Sokka really shined, his intelligence.
Ta-da! It's a special knot! That counts as knowledge.
You're not very bright, are you?
As a comic relief, he was supposed to be dumb, but he goes against these standards. Without him, the invasion would never happen. Ba Sing Se would be invaded by the drill, the air balloons would not be created, and the entire balloon fleet of firebenders in the last episode would have destroyed everything. All this shows his strategic knowledge and ability in creating plans, as well as the knowledge of the battlefield, always using it to his favor. Not only that, but he shows to be efficient and doing this fast, creating a plan to leave Boiling Rock, or when he needed to fake firebend for Aang to enter in the temple. His intelligence is what deferred him from the rest of the Team Avatar, and also something that without, Ozai would never be defeated. And even with all his brain skills, he was still capable of being a competent warrior. Sokka was the one that learned diverse ways of fighting without the elements, showing how versatile he really is. Boomerangs, fans, swords were all in Sokka's control. He was able to learn and master all of these abilities, going one-on-one with incredible benders, something that's not easy to do. Other very important aspects of Sokka's personality is how he cared for people. For example, when he refused to kiss Suki in front of the moon as an act of respect toward the Yue's death. By being a big brother, he's very protective over his sister, always looking out for her. Not only that, but he cares for the others that he doesn't even know too, like the Fire Nation colony that Jet was going to destroy. We often notice that Sokka hides his feelings toward people, but when the time comes, he's there to protect them. But feelings are one of the hardest things for him to understand also, mainly because it's something men are not supposed to have. He never allowed himself to talk about his true feelings, so when he opens up to Toph, we see how much he grew and felt comfortable around his friend. The episode Sokka's Master shows all of the aspects of his development. His way of thinking outside the box and also strategic and creative when putting his identity on the paper or when fighting Piandao, using his surroundings to his favor. The importance of his sense of humor to the team and how they felt lost without him in every way, finishing then his fight with all his own struggles and problems. From a guy that wasn't competent with his own abilities and hid behind an arrogant and sexist personalities that always thought he was better than many others, to someone humble that even after training really hard to feel worthy was still conscious of his mistakes, someone that allowed himself to share his feelings and be vulnerable when needed, but also someone that cared and protected the others that were important to him. Throughout every episode of Avatar, all of his concepts of what a man is are put to trial, and these challenges make him grow and mature with his friends, feeling comfortable with people he met along his journey. All of these characteristics are what led Sokka to becoming who he most admired, his father, someone strong, wise, gentle, humble, strategic, and most importantly, a respected leader. This is it. Thank you for watching the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this.